Good evening, everybody. It is July 22nd, 2021. Church bells mean it's 6:30 and it's Thursday. It's time for our Facebook Live. And let me tell you, there's been so many updates with immigration this week. I do have the topic of the O1 visa to get to, but there's so many changes with USCIS. We might spend a good amount of time on that. Also, if I sound congested or anything, I apologize. The allergies in Florida right now are very tricky. So as you all know, we typically will start this with a quick explanation, and then we're going to just do updates from USCIS today, and it's affecting a lot of people positively. And we're going to go ahead and share these updates with you. But first and foremost, we have our good news. Congratulations to our client who on Monday became a citizen. USCIS is still issuing oath ceremonies for many applicants at the same day of their exams. So congratulations to her. And we'll now be able to petition for her daughter, which I know is very important to her. And also on Monday, we received an approval on an L1B specialized knowledge case, which can be extremely difficult to get when you have to prove the height and standard of specialized knowledge. So congratulations to Gloria and me and our clients and everybody who worked on these cases so diligently. Next week, our Facebook Live is not going to be on Thursday because we had to change the schedule for a very special guest. We're going to have a representative from UCF Global International Student Program. So if you know somebody who's asking you, overseas, how do I get to be a student? How do I go through a student visa? What can I do and what can I not do? Please join us. You're going to hear from me and also a representative from UCF Global. So be on the lookout for that. It should be a really great live with so much information. Okay, so when I tell you guys I had updates, we definitely do to the point where I had to make notes. So we're going to go through these updates and talk about what this means for those who are in this situation and what do we expect to happen. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is for student visas F1, there is an update for change of status applications. If we have many clients who are here on tourist visas and they change their mind and would like to change status to an F1, they used to have to bridge the gap, was the legal terminology, of their tourist visas while their change of status application was pending. This could get very costly, especially when USCIS processing times were going over 6 months, requiring them to file 2 extensions at close to $400 a pop. So this is now saying they no longer have to do that. So F1 bridge the gap for change of status applications is no longer going to be necessary according to this latest USCIS website update from July 20th. So we hope to save our clients some money that they no longer have to do this. Hello, Mr. Ivan from Dominican Republic. Thanks for saying hello. And Mr. Bashar, it's wonderful that we have people from all over joining us tonight. Okay, next update. We're going to talk about several different things regarding TPS and temporary protected status. Remember, the Department of Homeland Security can designate particular countries, citizens or nationals of those countries, to receive temporary protection, which allows them to remain in the United States and obtain proper work authorization. So we know that this has been redesignated for Syria, Yemen, Haiti has been redesignated. So now there are updates. So if you're from Yemen and you want to know more about TPS, our actual local USCIS community outreach, Vesna Bosvik, she works for USCIS. She's going to be holding a public engagement on August 4th from 2 to 3 o'clock. So if you know anybody who is a Yemen citizen or national and they think they want to know more information about it, this is your time to speak directly with a local USCIS representative on TPS for Yemen. So that's the first TPS update. The second TPS update is that they've just announced that TPS applicants from 5 designated countries can now apply for registration or renewal online. Please hear me out. This is not all TPS applications, just 5 specific countries, and I'll go ahead and list them now. Burma, Somalia, Syria, Venezuela, or Yemen. So if you're a Haitian citizen and you want to apply for TPS online, you cannot do so online. It must be on paper. So that's a really good update for those who still haven't qualified or registered, excuse me. So maybe you can do your application online. You could reach out to us and we could try to get it done for you the same day now that the applications can be done online. And we have more TPS updates for you. So Somalia has been extended and now been redesignated. So what does it mean, extend or redesignate? So if you were here prior to this redesignation and you did not have TPS, you would not be eligible to obtain it. So, but now as it's redesignated, there's going to be a new opportunity to register for TPS. And again, we saw this with Haiti and Syria, Yemen, and now Somalia. So hopefully people who are eligible will take this opportunity to go ahead and register for that. So that's the TPS update so far. Okay. Now, as you know, for many people who are our clients who filed for adjustment of status in Orlando, the Orlando processing times are a lot longer than Tampa or Jacksonville. And this could be for a number of reasons and incidents and just the amount of people possibly. But to expedite it, we received an update that, and we're going to share this in our newsletter next week for August. So if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, just send us your email or drop it in the comments and we'll make sure to add you. So what they're going to do to try to speed up the Orlando processing times is they're going to start possibly rescheduling your interviews in either the Tampa or the Jacksonville office to try to speed it up. They're also going to be having interviews on a Saturday as well because there's that much backlog due to COVID. And this is a way for them to speed up. So it might seem inconvenient to drive an hour or two, but would you rather be done or continue to wait for several months before you have your interview? I'll take it as good news as they are trying to speed up the process. So if you live in Orange or Osceola County, there's a chance your interview will be in Tampa. If you live in Seminole, Brevard, or Volusia, or Flagler, there's a good chance that your interview will be in Jacksonville if you were originally scheduled for Orlando. Now, we don't know who they're going to select or how they're going to select it. I imagine it might be random, but be understanding or aware that this is to help speed up the process. All right, so we are still not done with our updates. When I tell you guys there's been several changes happening, there have been several, and we're welcoming these changes, hopefully making the process more inviting for individuals who are seeking to obtain legal status here. We do have a question. It's from Yvette. What about other states where the change of status is taking more than 14 months? So in Orlando, the average processing time is about that. And I know that this is going to be something they're going to try in several different regions. So depending on your region, you'll be on the lookout that you may be scheduled for a field office nearby if yours is that behind. It all depends on, are the field offices that close? Are they caught up? You know, so I can't speak for those regions, but check out your USCIS website and they're always publishing these informations. You could even sign up for USCIS updates through their website directly, or if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, we'll make sure we continue to update you all as we receive this information. So thanks, Yvette, for that question. And I'm curious, let me know where are you, which field office you're in. We already had somebody from DR and somebody from Volusia, so I would like to know where you are as well. So the next update we have is just a very brief and technical for anybody who's about to file their adjustment, if there's any other attorneys or anybody who's watching, as you know, where we file our forms is very important, and it is in the instructions. There's been a change just today for filing Form I-131. There's just been some changes here on this document and for filing location updates. So this is important for people who are applying for either a 131, which is a travel document based on a pending adjustment of status, or for people who are applying for DACA and things like that. Okay, DACA. Let's talk about DACA. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Recently, okay, the Supreme Court a couple months ago said that the way the Trump administration ended the DACA program was not lawful. They're not saying that they can't do it, but they said it was not lawful. So then USCIS started to accept new applications and extensions again. Very recently, there was a court ruling just last week that said, no, they cannot simply start to accept new applications. And it's very likely the Biden administration has already said they are going to appeal the decision. So where does that leave us now? Okay, if you have a pending DACA first time pending, many people have received cancellation notices on their biometrics appointments. Biometrics is where you go to do your fingerprints and take a photograph, and they received cancellations because under the judge's order from this federal court, USCIS cannot adjudicate any new pending applications, new first-time filers, okay? So USCIS has given us some instructions saying they will accept new applications. This kind of shows you that they plan on fighting this or bringing it back some way or somehow. So if you want to get in line to when they start accepting it, they are accepting new applications. However, if your application was pending, they're not making an adjudication for first-time filers. Now, if you're simply renewing, you're going to be able to renew your DACA. But first-time filers, this has been big news. Now, I want everybody to pay attention to what's happening in the Senate and Congress as they are trying to have some type of immigration reform specifically for the Dreamers and DACA, which most Americans support, in this budget bill that's pending, a couple billion or $1 trillion. So please reach out to your senators and emphasize the importance of finding a legal avenue for people who came here as children and committed no crimes and are educated and are part of our workforce and is America's the only home they know. It's time that they have a permanent solution. It's very crazy if you think about that. One moment you can file for a renewal, then one judge can have an opinion, another judge can have a different one, and people are getting ping pong back and forth as to whether or not they have a right to remain in the United States. So I understand that this is very stressful. We have a lot of clients who are going through this and are very fearful of that it might not be renewed, but I'm confident under this administration it will get renewed. But I do hope for a permanent solution for the Dreamers and the DACA recipients. So that's our update on DACA. Now, speaking of courts and judge decisions, there's another update on the EB-5, which is very famously known as the $1 million visa, right? Excuse me. Okay, so the EB-5 was originally created for a job creation, employment-based category 5, where a foreign investor would invest $1 million in the United States, and they must create 10 full-time jobs, and they would receive the benefit of residency in the United States. Under this EB-5 program, there are subcategories, what's called like a regional center, what was considered a temporary program, where you could invest half the amount, $500,000, into an approved USCIS project approved by USCIS called a regional center. This allowed a lot more people to, invest for half the amount, and the regional center would create the project. So in June of this year, USCIS, let me back up. In November 2019, the Trump administration increased the amounts from $500,000 to 900,000 and from 1 million to 1.8 million, nearly doubling the amount necessary to invest to qualify for EB-5. So what happened now? Why are we talking about EB-5? Two things happened last month. First, this court ruled that the way the increase was implemented was not lawful. So they've now dropped it back down to the original amount of $1 million for direct and $500,000 for target employment areas and regional centers. Okay, so one step further, there's another problem. Remember I said the regional center is a temporary program that's been around for 20 years? Every year and a half or so, it needs to be renewed by Congress. And it typically gets renewed in their budget bill. So right now, what Senate and the Congress is working on is a budget bill. So we hope to see that the regional center program is going to be renewed. And I hope to see it renewed at the amounts from prior to November 2019, where the amounts were $500,000 and $1 million in order to qualify for EB-5. So I know I've had several calls about, can I get in right now for $1 million? Can I get in right now for $500,000? Yes, I mean, technically, depending on the project, the area, and can we put the case together fast enough prior to any changes happening? But we do have a lot of people who were interested in EB-5 for a very long time. But then when the amount nearly doubled to 900,000, 1.8 million, that amount for investment really became out of reach for a lot of people. So that's the update on EB-5. I just want to check my notes, see if I missed anything. When we talked about the interviews and TPS and DACA. So with the time that we do have left, I'm going to just kind of talk about a visa that we don't talk about very often. I know we talk about investor visas, employment or marriage cases, or deportation defense. So there's a visa that's called an O1 non-immigrant visa. And we get a decent amount of O1 questions through our website. I just want to step back. I think Yvette has a question. But is that only for new EB-5 applications? Yeah, filed as after the order is going to be treated as if prior to the November 2019 changes. Okay, so the O1 non-immigrant visa. So first I want to take a step back and say, what is a non-immigrant visa and what is an immigrant visa? So when they say non-immigrant visa, that is what it sounds like, non-immigrant. You're not coming here with intention to immigrate to the United States. It is a temporary visit, is a temporary work visa. So that's what a non-immigrant is. It's usually a temporary time inside the United States, not a residence that would lead to citizenship. So the O1 is for an individual who possesses extraordinary ability in the sciences, arts, education, business, athletics, or extraordinary achievement in the motion picture or television arts. So, for example, you can have an athlete who is going to compete in several competitions or dance performances. They may have an O1 if they have achieved like this certain level in sports or athletics. You know, an artist must have significant distinction in their field or recognition, right? So these are different things that we can look at. So there's several forms of an O1, you know, and it's like a visa alphabet soup here. We have all sorts of letters and subcategories. So O1A is for individuals who are in sciences, education, business, or athletics. It does not include people of extraordinary ability or achievement in television or motion arts. That is going to be O1B, okay? So O1A is sciences, education, business, or athletics. O1B, television, motion picture. Okay, we're not done yet. There's another category. O2, letter O, number 2. These are people who are typically coming to support the primary O1 artist or athlete in the specific event or the performance. So if you have an artist, let's say, who is a renowned singer, and they're a part of the band might be an O2, or somebody who's going to assemble a particular stage in order to help them do their performance may qualify for an O2. And then finally, an O3 or basically the spouse and unmarried children under the age of 21 of the primary visa holder. So I want to go over some of the questions that we receive on the O1s if we can. I'm just talking 20 minutes straight, so bear with me here. Okay, so does the O1 visa need a sponsor, or do you need a sponsor to qualify for the O1? Another question, a way to form this question is, can you sponsor yourself? The answer is no. You need a sponsor. So it could either be an employer offering you a job, or if you're coming with your talent to work specific, amount of gigs or schedule, then you can have an agent, and there should be a very clear schedule that what you're going to perform. But to simply come on your own because you have extraordinary ability would not work for the O1. Now, this extraordinary ability, we use these terms often for different types of visas under immigration law as well. There's the EB2 NIW, which stands for National Interest Waiver, and immigrant visa for a permanent residency, where one could theoretically petition for themselves. We do those very often. It's you could check it out on our website. It's a very popular visa that people are trying to pursue these days. So how long is the O1 visa good for, typically valid for? So whenever you file a petition, you can up to 3 years obtain this status or visa. There's not really limitations on how many times you could renew it, but you're going to have to meet the requirements every time in order to make sure that you continue to get new grants, not necessarily extensions on your status, but a new approval for the time period allowing you to remain here. Okay, so this question, I believe I mentioned it, but I'll just go over it again. It says, what does extraordinary ability mean for an artist? I said it must mean somebody of distinction in their field. And that means that, you're prominent, you're known, maybe you've received an award or been written about. These are things that we want to look for, is somebody distinguished. Okay. The next question I have is, can a spouse of a O1 visa holder work? Or can a person who's here in the United States on an O3, can they work in the United States? Unfortunately, they cannot. So that's not an option. You're here just accompanying your spouse, and your family does not give you the right to live and work here in the United States. Another good thing about the O1 visa is premium processing is available. What is premium processing? This is the ability to pay the USCIS agency an additional fee on top of the regular filing fee to get an expedited response or decision on your case. They have 15 calendar days to respond to a filing. And then if you receive a request for evidence, you would then respond, and then they would have 15 days again. So a lot of times we can see a final decision 30 or 45 days, as opposed to several months, often longer than 6 months in some different types of cases. So premium processing is available for O1s, and that is a good resource. And we've talked before about the non-immigrant visa H-1B, right? This is a non-immigrant work visa where every year there's a lottery. A couple 100,000 people apply, but there's only a certain amount of visas, so there's a digital lottery, and it's completely random on whether or not you get selected through their program and software. Fortunately, there's no cap on the O1 visa, so you don't have to worry about the visas running out. So if you meet the requirements and you're eligible, there's not an extra layer of difficulty due to a scarcity of visas. So we are at 25 minutes in. I'm going to, unless I have any other questions, just check phone and wrap it up. And then we will see you next week with UCF Global, who are going to my friend Christina, who works with international students, who helps them solve their problems, and talk about what options you have as an F1, or how can you obtain an F1 visa, whether you're in the United States or outside the United States. So please look forward to our guest next week, Ms. Khan with UCF Global. I will, of course, be here, and it will be on a different day and time, so be on the lookout for that. A couple of quick things. We are doing updates on, or we're doing consultations the last Saturday of every month. So this month it's July 31st. I know a lot of people say that they can't get to our office between the hours of 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. So we wanted to come up with a solution. So once a month, we are doing consultations on Saturday, so long as you prepay and schedule accordingly. We're not going to show up on the weekend if nobody's coming, right? So please share that information with anybody you know. We will continue to update you all on DACA, EB5, TPS, and all the changes that are happening, and move forward from there. And then here, Mr. Bashar is asking, no, there's no news about VAWA, but we do have something called prosecutorial discretion happening for people in court proceedings. This came from the May 2021 memo, kind of reinstating a memo from 2014 or so. We've talked about that several times, and if you know anybody in immigration removal proceedings or who has to check in with the immigration enforcement agencies, this might be a really good tool or opportunity for you. Okay, one more question. Miss Yvette is asking, is there a way to expedite an EB5? I know of people who have filed lawsuits like a mandamus where something is taking exorbitant, unreasonable amount of time to process a case, and that it has been successful in some avenues. I think writs of mandamus right now, due to COVID, and the government might have a lot of excuses as to why processing times are taking so long. So that's it for today. I know that was a lot of information, so you could find this video on YouTube in a couple of days, or you could just share this link, rewatch this link on Facebook. And if you know anybody who you think might need our assistance, whether it's with her car accidents or immigration, please let us know and how we can help, and we'd be happy to do so. I'm heading to the Orlando City soccer game, so hopefully it doesn't pour, and let's go City. And I wish everybody a good night, and I'll see you guys here next week.